Kia ora tātou. My name is Hinemoana Baker, and I am delighted to read some of my poems for you today for this kaupapa. Thank you so much for inviting me, Trevor, and to everyone who's involved in making this happen. It's a great honour. The first poem is called If I Had to Sing. I have no idea what to call this rebirth, and yet I'm here to name it. To feed the new flame with wood from the old. Language is a flute, a lily, a chair overbalancing, a church we teeter on the threshold of. There are places where they harvest water from the air, drink fog from a glass, then overnight hang the rag back on the bayonet. Does a thing which is reborn need to have died? All those cities still live in my mirrors. They rise and fall again with the sun's rounds, the way the planet carves its own seismic trench in the solar system. The spring charges and recharges its river system, while on the columns of our lives press unimaginable stresses. Hold me up now, as I do you. Sing, and steady me under your strong, sure feet. This next poem is called The Fossils, and it's from my second book, which is called Koiwi, Koiwi, Bone, Bone. The Fossils. I feel, said the woman on the bus, like I've swallowed a branch. Is this a new flu? The bus driver said, I feel like I've swallowed a hurry. Well, said the depot manager, I feel like I've swallowed a large white brick state house. The brick isn't real, it's a kind of cladding. At one corner, a nest of spiders is building. We, the shareholders, said the shareholders, we feel like we've swallowed a bus. No, several buses, trolley buses or trams, which depend on electricity for their volition, and wave sparking antennae up at the thick wires which crisscross our city, making every suburb and hotspot accessible without resort to the motor car and its archaic fossil fuel burning technologies. We are a branch, say the fossils, of your family. This poem is called Tangihanga. Tangihanga is the Maori word for the mourning ritual or ceremony, the grief ceremony. And on my father's side, I'm Maori, so he came from 4 tribes, Te Aotearoa up in Taranaki, Ngāti Toa Rangatira and Ngāti Raukawa, which is around just north of Wellington, and also Ngaitahu, which is down in the South Island. It's the large tribe down there. So he's my Maori parent, and this poem comes from one of my first memories. Tangihanga. At the pā, nō rātou te mana, nō ngā wāhine mau panekotiana. My father stands to speak. I am a needle of bone on my auntie's knee. I have cut my hair. Handled gently, I am a thatched weapon, a flake of obsidian, something skirting the boards of the house as if it were a property. What he says is like bread or a bruise. There is a rushing to the edges. The scent of kawakawa releases into the dark-fleshed home. This next poem is called Aunties, and it features fictional versions of aunties from both sides of my family, and aunties that I've completely made up as well. It is a homage to a poem by Joy Harjo, who's an amazing Native American poet, currently, I think, the Poet Laureate of the United States. Her poem is called She Had Some Horses. This is called Aunties. We had a marching auntie and an eyelash curler auntie, a headscarves one, a lavender talcum powder auntie, and a satin running shorts one. We had an auntie who was laid out on the sheepskin rug by that uncle when she was 6 and 7 and 8. These might be the same aunties. We had an auntie who died on the same day as her own sister and turned into that white horse on the green hill, a drawn-on eyebrows auntie who said, I don't care how good they are at yodeling, they're giving country music a bad name, those girls. We had an auntie who lifted her still working arm above her head to make it easier for us to take off her top for the wheel-in shower. Then that auntie who hickied her great-grandbaby on her hip, and we looked up at her framed against a bright blue Nelson Bay's sky. We had an auntie who said, you're sick, and you make me sick with your disgusting carry-on, both of you girls. The auntie who said, how dare you, don't you see your mother is upset? The auntie who said, you make me sick with your embarrassing carry-on. The one with sea green eyes and pounamu black moko kauai, who wanted to teach us karanga. The auntie who gave her permission. We had an auntie who married that uncle who cursed us, who told us, you should never be allowed around children, and we never ever were. The Tākaka auntie. Reason left that auntie, and she followed us to the toilet with a mango in her hand and kept talking. She frowned when she smiled, that auntie. She was always, my grandchildren this, my grandchildren that. We had an auntie who said, don't worry about me, I'll just close my eyes and wake up in paradise. One of the aunties was actually a nun. One had hands swollen with arthritis, and she always stayed young, very young, too young. This other auntie was a yodeler, for real, in the mountains, with goats, way overseas. She never got married, and her name started with a K. And that auntie had another auntie who gambled, and an auntie with dirt floors. Those were definitely the same aunties. That auntie, oh man, if she ever won the lotto, she would just be winning back her own fucking money. Then there's the auntie who watched him shoot himself, even after she herself was already dead, and applauded with her ghost hands, applauded and screamed her karangatangi. And then we had that auntie who threw a fridge at her own brother, and in the summer she waltzed us round the room with our small feet, tiptoe and clammy, on top of her high arches, her feet in cork wedge heels. There was that one-eyed dog auntie, the pork and puha auntie, the pinch of salt in the porridge auntie, the Prince Tui Teka song auntie, the crawl on her lap auntie, the $50 in a birthday card auntie, the fish and chips for breakfast auntie, the DNA, the DNA, the DNA, the fits into the whakapapa here and also here auntie, the pale poached eggs auntie, the auntie who plays the piano like a pianola and sings at the same time, while you try to watch and memorize every click of her pink fingernails on the black keys, because she's gone now. But no, silly, that one's your mum. And the last poem I'm going to read is called What the Whale Said. It's from my third book, which is called Waha, Mouth. And it's also printed in a book, a compilation, like an anthology called The Transit of Venus, which was 3 German poets and 3 of us from Aotearoa, New Zealand. What the Whale Said. Firefly, I speak of breath, that fine bead, how we effervesce. Hush, darling, full of air, convener, sad captor, your bones and mine are seashells shot through with a tender jelly. A rabbit in your look as I break the brine, my fluke's a black book, a mast in your mind, cross of the drowned. I groan with fathoms. You, glimpse of ray. I swallow the volume of a lagoon. Tēnā tātou katoa, thank you so much. I hope you enjoyed those poems and thank you for having me.